volume of a cylinder or cylindrical-based shapes, and solving equation problems. So an example, find the capacity in litres of a semicircular prism horse trough that is 1.5 metres long and 90 centimetres wide. So the purpose here is to cover a bunch of different aspects. Remembering, of course, that the volume formula for any prism is volume equals area times height. The volume for a full cylinder is pi r squared, height, because this is the area of the circular end, times the height of the cylinder. But of course, we need to adapt either of those formulae to be a half circle in this case. So this is the volume formula for a full cylinder, but you will need to be able to change that. Label your diagram. Got 1.5 meters. Now, 90 centimeters wide means that my diameter is 90 centimeters. We need our units to match, so I would convert that to 0.9 meters, which means my radius is half of that, 0.45 meters. You could have changed both to centimeters. It's up to you. So the volume of a semicircular prism is going to be, of course, half of a cylinder. So pi r squared height divided by 2. Write your formula, substitute your values. The height, and get your answer, preferably using your calculator. Someone has been beating mine up a bit, I'm sorry. Pi times 0.45 squared times 1.5 divided by 2. So I have 0.477, and this is in meters cubed. Now, because we've ended up in meters cubed and we want to find the capacity in litres, you would need to check how many litres there are in 1 cubic metre. If you didn't remember the conversion, remember a litre is going to be 1,000 mils. 1 litre, 1,000 millilitres. 1,000 mils, remember a milliliter is the amount of space or the amount of liquid that could be held by 1 cubic centimetre. So 1 litre is going to be 1,000 centimetres cubed, but we're in meters cubed. So we probably want the number of litres per metre cube. Think about this 1,000. That would be a cube that was 10 by 10 by 10. 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000. So a litre is a cube of 10 centimetres side length. And you can work out how many of those would fit into 1 metre cubed. 10 of them along the base, 10 of them along the back, 10 of them up the side. Basically, 1 metre cubed is 1,000 litres. So multiply by 1,000, the capacity is 477 litres. You'll notice that I had to keep at least 3 decimal places there to get an accurate answer. When you're rounding and you're going to be changing your units later, it's important to keep a lot of decimal places, because if I'd just gone 0.5 cubic metres, I would have got to 500 litres. I would have been way out. So keep more decimal places than you think you'll need. E.g., a cylinder has a volume of 282.74 centimetres cubed and its height is 10 centimetres. Find its radius. Now this is a problem-solving situation. We'll need an equation. Anytime you have a question where a formula would be involved and they've said I've got a cylinder and I've got its volume. That's saying to me, you want the volume formula of a cylinder. Write the formula. Any question where there's a formula involved, you should write the formula. This is the volume formula of a cylinder. Anytime you've got a problem with a formula, you substitute in the values you know. Okay, I've got my volume. That's pi times, I don't know the radius, I do know the height. You're going to have to simplify and solve. Any multiplications you can do, keeping exact values is easier. So this pi times 10, remember you can rearrange multiplications, so it doesn't have to be pi times r squared times 10, it could be 10 times pi times r squared. I'm just going to do my next line in pink because it's not actually necessary. Pi times 10 times the radius squared. This is an equation. We need to get the radius on its own to find out what it would be. We need to get rid of everything else by doing the opposite. And if you imagine that we popped brackets around that, I can get rid of this pi times 10 because it was times by the radius squared here. I can get rid of times by pi times 10 by dividing both sides by pi times 10. Pi equals the radius squared. I don't just want the radius squared though, I want the radius on its own. So I've got to ask, well, how do I get rid of the squared? I square root. You don't have to work all this out. You can just square root each side. The square root of 282.74 over 10 pi is the radius. And then we can just type all this into the calculator to find the radius. So you're solving an equation. If you're not sure how to solve an equation, you should probably watch one of my spare videos on how to solve an equation because we need to be able to do this. So I want the square root of, in brackets, divided by, now let's just pop 10 times pi in, it probably would have gone in brackets, okay? So I've been very careful to get that all underneath my square root sign. 2.99998, right, I reckon that's going to round out to 3. Can't actually read my calculator there, yep. Therefore, radius equals 3 centimeters. Now we could have put that into the calculator differently. You could have used the square root and used your fraction key. Oops, 282.74 over 10 times pi. And check, yep, we got the same answer. So sometimes you might find the fraction key more useful. So whenever you've been asked for something but you've been given the subject of the equation and you need to find one of the variables within the equation, you write your formula, substitute in the known values, and you'll have to rearrange the resulting equation to solve it.